Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, The Real Super Sam. Today is a new top 5 stories list on the channel and I hope you enjoy. Here we go you guys, a new top 5 best stories list for a recommended villain, Tombstone. Tombstone has an iconic history for many Spider-Man fans as he haunts a big Spider-Man supporter Joe Robertson and was sort of the replacement for the Kingpin in the Spectacular Spider-Man 2008 cartoon. Honestly, looking at all of his stories, they aren't very great. His media appearances are much better for me. With that said, here are the top 5 best Tombstone stories. Number 5, Will. This story was in Spectacular Spider-Man issue 142. Mary Jane has been forced to tell Tombstone that Peter is at the hospital talking to Joe Robertson. He wants Parker to turn over the Robertson confession, warning that he will hurt Mary Jane more if he refuses, and then both meet up in Atlanta. Spider-Man goes to the meeting spot and gets ambushed by Tombstone. Tombstone is super durable, able to withstand bullets and all intense temperature, lift up to 6 tons, so he beats Spider-Man around for a bit. In the end, Spider-Man just stands back up and beats down Tombstone because, after all, Tombstone is still basically just a strong guy in a boss encounter like this. It is a perfect story for a comic book. The hero fights the villain for a serious issue and the fight is amazing. Number 4, Crash Out. This is Spectacular Spider-Man issue 155. Spider-Man sneaks into a federal prison to help Joe Robertson being held there, but Tombstone almost sneak hits him being outside Robbie's cell. Joe pricks Spider-Man with a needle, knocking Spider-Man out. Gloating over his victory, Tombstone explains that the reason Joe is helping him is that Robertson is afraid of Tombstone. Tombstone then begins beating on Spider-Man to avenge his previous defeat at the hands of the wall crawler. Most of this issue has Tombstone just hitting Spider-Man over and over again. It was a lot like Spider-Man The Animated Series episode 42, with Tombstone being shown to be a powerful gang leader even in a prison. Number 3, Heart of the Hawk. This was a 6-part story in Dark Hawk issues 6 through 10. I meant to say issues 10 through 15, I'm sorry about that. This was in Dark Hawk issues 10 through 15 in a story called Heart of the Hawk. Tombstone is looking for Darkhawk and wants his amulet to get Darkhawk's power. When he meets Darkhawk for the first time, he wins and rips his amulet out of his chest, giving Tombstone much more power. These issues also have some important moments with Darkhawk's history, but that's probably obvious. This storyline takes up 6 of his issues. Most of it is because of Tombstone stealing his amulet though and going after its magical secrets. In the end, the two meet up again and have an epic encounter and Tombstone loses. Yeah, in this whole story, Tombstone is on his own, going up against a lesser-known superhero. Here, Tombstone is very threatening, but also a good businessman, I guess. Like, there's a line I like when he says, "Help me, I'll make you rich. Cross me, you die." Tombstone is at his best in the beginning. He's big and seemingly invincible, not taking the blows Darkhawk is dealing back to him seriously at all. It is a great story for Tombstone and a lot of his most bad A moments. Number 2, Death of Tombstone. This Tombstone story was in the 3-issue story in Spectacular Spider-Man issues 204 to 206. This story opens with Tombstone beating up Hammerhead because Hammerhead is the competition for Tombstone to be the new kingpin of crime. Tombstone joined a conference of powerful criminal leaders who intended to divide up the empire left by Wilson Fisk. This is treated as Tombstone's last stand, his end goal for being a villain, and he fights like a man out of hell against Spider-Man. It is brutal and surprisingly well paced in the confrontations. There is a scary moment where Tombstone comes out of the East River holding Spider-Man's mask. I also really like how Tombstone's speech bubble is dotted, like he's speaking in a rough whisper this whole time. He is very skilled in hand-to-hand combat, surprisingly so, and has Spider-Man in the corner and could have killed him here. I have a little problem with the ending. Tombstone has been fighting Spider-Man and Black Cat, almost won too, wrapping his fist in webbing. The web-slinger then laid into his foe to the point where Tombstone's nose began bleeding. At first, Tombstone appears unfazed, but this is merely a delay in the beating he got from the web-slinger, and eventually he just blacks out. Like, what the heck happened there? It had the best parts of the villain's character though, him being a mob boss and his fighting. And number 1, the greatest Tombstone story is called The Fall/Redemption. This was in the miniseries called Spider-Man and Punisher Family Plot. This was when Ben Reilly was Spider-Man, and it's only 2 issues. Tombstone has broken out of prison and has come to become king of the city, and has one hitman he's scared kill the chief of police. When that hitman actually fails, Tombstone starts to beat him to death. That's when Spider-Man jumps in to fight Tombstone. During this fight, Punisher also breaks in and fires bullets aiming to kill Tombstone. Tombstone is treated as a very dark character here. He works the best when he's a dark character. He kills a lot of people in these 2 issues. There's a really cool fight in here when Spider-Man and him fight on a speeding car and Tombstone fights Spider-Man with a street light. Tombstone gets his comeuppance here. He gets hurt bad, and he deserves it. He threatens kids in this. So this is a really good Tombstone story, especially if you liked him in the Spider-Man PS4 video game or wanted to see another dark Spider-Man villain. And to me, that makes this his greatest story ever. Those were the top 5 best Tombstone stories. Thank you all for watching my list today. After making this list, I like Tombstone much more in his greatest comic appearances, and honestly, dislike him a little now in the Spectacular Spider-Man show. The Kingpin wannabe he was in there just didn't work as well for me anymore. Like, why did they have Tombstone have that role if they were going to make him a respectable public figure anyway? I am surprised at how many characters this villain has run into and fought. I think it would have been cool to have him in a TV show as a semi-main villain of a season in a live-action TV show. He was that in the Spectacular Spider-Man show. With all that said, those are the top 5 best Tombstone stories, and I hope you enjoyed. Behind the scenes, I've been working more on complete history of videos. Hopefully, those will be exciting for you guys to see. Anyway, bye-bye, and have a great day.